Welcome to Business Doctor. We have seen in the past about tasks, problems, and so on and so forth. All these things have got a bearing when we decide to pursue or go for a purpose. The moment we define the purpose, then we define what we want. The moment we know what we want, then we get into the action. So there are tasks, there are activities, and so on and so forth. The moment you define, I want this, naturally, that won't be made available to you on a gold platter. One has to go and search, put in effort to get the outcome of that want. So obviously, when it doesn't happen, we define that moment as a problem moment. The moment we identify that there is a problem, what it means is that I want something, but I'm not able to get that. When I say I can't get that in the time or get that with that kind of a resource like finance or maybe effort or someone's help. It could be any of those. For example, if for a sports person, that person would be interested in winning the competition or scoring a century or maybe scoring some goals for self or goals for the team, goals for the country, goals for the club. So it could be any of those things. It could be in studies, it could be in your work, it could be in your personal activities, wherever there is a want. And when that want doesn't happen in the time frame with that resources, obviously we define that as a problem. So now when we know that no, this is a problem, obviously we try to seek for a solution. The solution can be from different perspective. Suppose you want something to be bought, for example, a laptop or a dress or something, because you want to do something else with that item. Then what happens is that you won't get that laptop or that item in the way you want it. So, or when you do some work, you won't be getting that expected results, which means that the solution which you are having it in mind or applying on is not yielding you the required result. That is, you are not able to fulfill your want. There could be multiple solutions to the same problem, solutions from different perspectives, either in terms of the utility value of that or the purpose, or it could be from financial point of view, it could be from a longevity or time scale point of view. But your want, if that is very clear, I want this, if you could define that want correctly, then though there could appear a set of solutions, all may seem to be working fine, but for the purpose of the want, the longevity of your need or want or that solution, there could be only one solution which would fit the bill. How to arrive at that solution? There are some simple ways. The first thing is that the solutions we are coming up with has to be correct in all respect. Then it has to be complete. You can't have a solution which is incomplete or partially complete or partially not complete, etc. The third one has to be comprehensive enough. If it is not comprehensive enough, then it won't withstand for the time period you are looking at or for the resources you are looking at. There is a fourth element, which is the compromise. People tend to compromise any of these three for various reasons and come up with a solution. Okay, for now, let's use this way. So there is a compromise. Then there are times, people decide that, okay, for the time being, let's do it this way, or for want of something else, want of money, want of resources, or want of knowledge on that particular stuff. That is the most worrying part. For the lack of knowledge of the solution, that means if we don't have a knowledge on the problem per se, which means indirectly or translates to we don't know what we want. That is a dangerous situation. So the compromise should not be, cannot be, and no one can afford to be on the knowledge part of what we want. So let's take a simple scenario. In mathematics, let's say you want to multiply two numbers, zero point 0.9 into 0.8. The result will be obviously 0.72, which will be less than either of these two values, that is 0.9 and 0.8. Which means any solution, you are going to have a set of features or a set of subsystems which you are trying to put together to form a solution. It will all have a multiplying effect. That means it is all aligned in a series way. So that sense, we take an example of packaging your 1 liter water bottle. So suppose somebody wants to produce a water bottle of 1 liter capacity. So obviously the correctness there in that example is that the water has to be water rather. It cannot be oil or it cannot be some other stuff. It has to be only water. So that's the first part of it. The completeness comes from the fact that it's a 1 liter bottle, so the bottle has to be slightly more than 1 liter capacity, and it has to fill that 1 liter mark, and it should be made visible to the user or the buyer. The comprehensiveness comes from the point of view of packaging this 1 liter water in a container, in a jar or whatever container, and appropriately labeling it. And that is not enough. That bottle has to be carried through on the way from the manufacturing unit to the delivery point, which is probably mostly domestic. Then it has to be handled in such a way that it can be can be poured onto a glass or directly it can be drinkable. So these three factors: correctness, completeness, comprehensiveness. The fourth point, which is the compromise, if the process or the company decides to compromise on any of these things, let's say by design of the processes, somewhere a percentage of lead is getting added to the water, which is a poison, or somewhere the arsenic is getting added to the water, or there is a dirt getting into the water, which means it is correct, complete, comprehensive, but there is a compromise on the quality. So which means that the person who is going to drink that bottle will get into trouble, which means that his business and the life of somebody else is going to be in a problem. So the solution here is that it has to be a drinkable, high quality, with no foreign material or particles, chemically or otherwise, and it should be drinkable, should be clear, and it should be 1 liter, and it should be carried through in a container for transportation as well as for drinking purposes, and without a compromise. So this could be a simple example of how to arrive at a solution. So this process, if we define how to do the correctness, how to do the completeness, how to do the comprehensiveness, then if you can list down where else there could be a compromise on these factors, and if people define the processes or the solutions in such a way that there is no compromise, or the compromise doesn't get impacted on these three parameters, then yes, the company has solved the water crisis problem by offering a packaged water, drinkable water to the public. Remember here that this process has got its own lifetime, and it has got an impact on finance, and sometimes no, like this water example, it has got an impact on life of the consumer. So the simple solution, the equation to the simple solution is this: it's a correctness multiplied by completeness multiplied by comprehensiveness divided by the compromise percentage. That will be 1 plus compromise percentage. So higher the numerator, better would be your solution, and lower the compromise, better would be that solution. Suppose if correctness is 1, completeness is 1, comprehensive is 1, which is 100%. So 1 into 1 into 1 divided by, assume there is no compromise, that will be 1 plus 0 by 100, which means that is also 1. Your solution is a perfect solution. So let's aim for a kind of perfection. Even if you aim for a perfection, there is a high chance that you may make a mistake, or it might not happen in the way you want it for various reasons. And it is the purpose of the company to arrest such kind of compromising areas to provide a good quality solution. It could be an example of a company, or it could be an example of self. You may be doing a task, you may be doing a job, you may be studying, you may be playing, whatever it is. You apply this and see the results for yourself. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Cheers.